Wedding videographers and photographers. The Booked by Strategy Workshop is a 3.5-day in-person event this December 2nd through the 5th, built to help you attract aligned couples to your brand and book without discounting your worth. Hear from voices like Jai Long, Layli Amadi, Justin Porter, Jack Callagher, and me, Hannah McGinty. Only 40 tickets are being sold and spots are filling up fast. Click the link in the show notes or check out bookedbystrategy.com to snag your seat before it's gone.
A lot of people get stuck because they say no too early, and they think that they need to say no because they hear some entrepreneurs or influencers that have been doing it for 20 years and they say, you got to protect your time, you got to protect your energy, you got to protect this, say no. And what happens is when you first start is you've got to say yes to a volume of things, because the more that you say yes, the more doors are open, the more opportunities, the more that you take the wrong turn, which is what you need to do when you first start. You've got to take lots of wrong turns and make lots of mistakes, because it means you'll make less mistakes later on.
I'm feeling like a brand new me. For the very first time, I'm right where I'm meant to be. Brand new.
Welcome to Outsmart the Hustle, where we turn hard work into smart work, helping you focus on the high-impact moves that drive your business forward without getting stuck in the grind. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Outsmart the Hustle podcast. I'm Hannah McGinty, your host, and today with me, we have the legend himself, Jai Long, and we're going to just shortly introduce him, and then he's going to talk to us about amazing things. Today's episode is called What We've Learned from Saying Yes. And Jai is one of those people that, taught me in my own career how to say yes early on, and here we are now. So I have a lot to attribute to him. He's amazing. He's taught so many creators. Jai is a creative business coach, an award-winning wedding photographer turned mentor, and the host of the Make Your Break podcast. So after going bankrupt at 21, he rebuilt from scratch and now helps thousands of creatives build 6- and 7-figure businesses. Through his programs like the 6-Figure Business Map, he blends strategy and mindset to help creatives stop playing small and to start thriving. Welcome, Jai.
Wow, I love the intro. Thank you for having me.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually didn't know what I was going to say, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it actually spit out a longer one about you, which I thought was amazing. How much data is on
It
you out
actually
there on the
knows.
internet.
That's
But
weird.
it was amazing. I had to tell it to actually be more condensed. So,
It's amazing what it knows about someone. So you can ask
right?
them who is Jai Long, and all of a sudden it just tells you everything.
It even pulled up a little picture of you with the bio. I was like, what is
That's
this?
awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Like
So
the modern Wikipedia.
yeah, a modern Wikipedia, right.
Mm.
Is there anything that you want to add to that? Like, what are you doing
No, I
now?
don't.
What are you doing, like traveling and like all this
Well,
stuff?
right now, I've been traveling. I've been traveling all year, and I'm actually traveling for the next, for a whole year all up, which is really cool. And I'm doing it so I can work on some side projects, so I'm not distracted by everyday life. And I'm currently writing my book, which is coming out at the end of the year. And to be honest, I'm sort of in a phase of my business where I'm exploring how I can leverage more and maybe work a little bit less, and just how that kind of works, because I've been hustling and hustling for so many years now with big teams and everything else. And I'm kind of seeing how I can maybe leverage AI and a lot of technologies that we have and resources and my brand and my reputation and all these different things, and seeing how business can be ran in 2025. And I think it is so different compared to 2022 or
Yeah.
2018 or 2013, when I first started mentoring and doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's really a really interesting time in time and space right now, where we are there is no rules and we're exploring new things, and there's so much gray area where we get to sort of make up our own rules and explore. So it feels exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, and you said today's topic kind of blends in really well with what you're currently writing in the book. Do you mind sharing a little bit
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, so we're talking today about the power of saying yes. And in my book, a lot of it is to do with the mindset that I've had since I was a kid, to sort of be able to make my break and, sort of dream and do big things and chase goals and chase missions and make impact. And these are the things that I've always has been at my core. And one thing in the book, I do talk about like saying yes. And I think honestly, what I've noticed is a lot of people get stuck because they say no too early. And they think
Mm,
that they need to say no because they hear some entrepreneurs or influencers that have been doing it for 20 years and they say, you got to protect your time, you got to protect your energy, you got to protect this, say no. And what happens is when you first start is you've got to say yes to a volume of things because the more that you say yes, the more doors are open, the more opportunities, the more that you take the wrong turn, which is what you need to do when you first start. You've got to take lots of wrong turns and make lots of
yeah.
mistakes because it means you'll make less mistakes later on.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of all in line with exactly what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, I love it. And I think people are so, mistake avoidant. And I think that's just our natural human tendency, right? Like we don't want to
Yeah.
experience pain, but it's that very pain, like you can't make a diamond without it going through the fire, right? Like I
Mm.
really think of it like that analogy for our lives is that you kind of have to go through the hard stuff to be successful. Because I don't know
Well,
any successful person who's avoided hardship.
exactly. Actually, I was talking to my wife, Lilu, about this today of how whatever comfort that you have up front, you're going to be met with the equal amount of discomfort afterwards. So, for an example, is if I go out drinking with my friends and I have a great night, that high that I have the next day is going to be equal amounts of low because I've lost the dopamine. I'm tired, I'm hungover, and it it was a trade-off. In the now, I got to enjoy myself, but later it was exhausting. On the flip side, I went for a run this morning and I ran as fast as I could for about 5 kilometers. And afterwards, I didn't want to do it. It was so hard. It was so hot. I had a sore stomach and everything. I just didn't want to do it. And I did it. And afterwards, I just felt so high on life. And I was like, I'm so happy right now. And then endorphins flooded in. And I was like, it's interesting that I did the hard thing that I didn't want to do, but I'm rewarded with the
Hmm.
pleasure that a lot of people don't ever get
Yeah.
because we're always chasing the comfort. And with entrepreneurship, it's exactly the same. It's like when we say yes to the easy things, I actually think if you want to be a good business owner, you got to get into the hard.
Yeah.
You know, so many people they say no to red flag clients because they don't want to work with someone hard. They don't even know that they're a red flag client. So they're
Hmm.
saying no to an opportunity because something that they thought and they've got no idea on. And then they avoid the hard situations. They never become a good entrepreneur because they don't understand what it's like to actually work with real clients, you know? And I think if you say yes to those hard things, you're going to unlock more money and you'll unlock more opportunities. You will unlock more within yourself because you have to level up now. You have to learn how to react to these people. And when you first start, you need that because it gets harder the further along you go in your business avoiding hard
Yeah.
because the mistakes become bigger and it become more costly later on in your career. So you might as well do it all right now when you first start, or as quick as possible. Like make the mistakes as quick as possible because it will help you.
Oh, that's so good. Now,
Mm,
where's kind of that? Because I think that someone is thinking this question is that where is the balance between like, experiencing your own difficulty versus learning from someone else's hardship and pivoting
mm.
accordingly? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what I think one thing that people should avoid doing, and I hate saying this, is try to not look at other people's mistakes. I think one of the biggest problems that people have is they try to avoid the mistake that someone else made. And that doesn't make any sense logically, right? But what happens is you don't do the thing because somebody else had a bad experience doing the thing, but there's someone else. They're different. They have a different skill set. They have a different ability. They have different relentlessness. So a lot of the time, someone will say to me, for instance, I say, Jai, don't run an online workshop because it just doesn't work anymore. I tried to do it last year and it flopped. And so I could easily say, well, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to make the mistake they made. But what I realize is, I'm like, no, we're totally different people. And I know that I can make it work because I know that I am not you and I can't run like you and I run like me and I know I can get the success. So I know my own ability. So I tend to not try to avoid other people's mistakes and I try and make my own mistakes as much as I can because the more that I make my mistakes, I need to flop on that going live and doing that workshop, because then I can see where my boundaries are and what my limits are. And then I can start assessing what risk is, and I can start breaking rules. And if I do that, it's going to help condition my mind to start looking for new opportunities. And there's so much that comes from that. But it's really important, I think, that you get yourself out there on the chopping block and make those mistakes yourself. Even if someone said, avoid this mistake, you shouldn't be watching that stuff. Never listen to someone that says like avoid this mistake, because honestly, I'm like, yeah, well, that's you and that's the way that you work, but you're putting your energy into the wrong thing. Listen to the people that say, this is what got me success.
Yeah.
Only ever listen to that. Never listen to the mistakes, because it's none of your business. Listen to the success, because that's where you got to put your time and attention and energy only onto those things.
Oh, so good. Yeah. That was a question I felt like someone was thinking right now when they were listening to us.
That's a good
So,
question.
but yeah, that was so good. That was so good. So we haven't even started with our questions yet, and this is already
Yeah.
just so golden. But I mean, you guys, this is why we have Jai on this workshop. He's amazing as a speaker, as a mindset coach, business coach, and creatives. Like, I feel like that most creatives, we focus on our craft more than we do the business and our own mindset and our own health. And so it just really felt like a perfect fit for you to come in and be at this workshop, Jai. So first of all, thank you for
I'm really
saying
excited for
yes.
this workshop.
Thank
Does
you.
everybody know about the workshop
Yeah,
that's listening right
everybody
now?
is in like on this podcast.
Yeah, everybody listening right now, do they know?
Yeah, they should. In theory, I mean, there's a advertisement about the workshop that plays right before this, so I hope
Perfect.
that they know.
December,
Yes,
Texas, you got to be there. I'm flying in for it.
December
It's going to be
2nd.
so fun.
Yes, it'll be awesome, and it'll be such an experience. There was something you told, I don't actually know when you told it to me, or if it was directly to me, or if it was to a group, but I remember you telling me they won't miss the money, they'll miss the experience.
Mm, yeah,
And
100%.
yeah, and I was like, that is exactly what we're going for. We're making a huge experience that if they don't come to this, it's like, what are they missing out on opportunity wise? So I'm just trying to build that around it. You've helped me craft a lot of the workshop in,
Love
just around
that.
the mindset and everything, just from your own influence. So I think that it'll be great for the go-getters that want to challenge themselves and also eventually give back to others, because they may not be in that position right now to do that, like financially, but what could they give with their time? What could they how could they be someone who helps their community? So I feel like the people that come to this will be really amazing people. Like, I just have that gut feeling, when you create something, it attracts a certain type of
Oh, you're
person.
going to attract, yeah, exactly like-minded people that are like
Hmm.
in that fun, exciting phase of life where they just wanted to consume and learn as much as they can because they want the leg up, in their
Yeah.
business. They make it something they're proud of. And I love surrounding myself with people like that. And that's why I love these workshops.
Yeah, I feel like communities help us. Like, they push us to be better as people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited for this. This is going to be good. So, let's hear some question and answer from Jai. So, you've
Okay.
seen so many creatives at different stages on their journey. What do you think separates the ones who stay stuck from the ones who break through?
The ones that break through always have a vision, and it is a clear vision. When I talk to the people that I know are going to make it, because you know straight away, like when you talk to somebody, they have a clear vision of their future, what they want to create, of their mission, of their goals, and they've got an unwavering confidence that they're going to get there. And that's the only thing. And if you've got those things, then you've got clarity. Everything makes sense. It's just really easy to hit a target that you can see. Those that are stuck are usually ones that are looking for their target. So it's not that they, not going to get there. It's just at the moment they're trying to find the tool set of like, okay, I don't know what my vision looks like, and I don't know what my next few years looks like. Oh, I don't know what the impact is. I don't know what my why is. I don't know where I'm headed. I don't know what this looks like. And so, when you're in that phase, it's really hard to move forward because you're essentially just like a ship with no navigation system out in the ocean, just going in circles, and you're wondering why you're not getting success. You just never will. But those that they have this belief, like they knew they were going to make it way before they did. They lived it, they breathed it, they dressed for it, they accepted it, they said yes for it. They got themselves in the right rooms because they felt like they deserved it. They lived the experience before, well before it happened. Those people, there's nothing that's going to on this earth that can stop those people.
Yeah, that's good. And from your own experience, what's a big risk that you took in your own business that felt terrifying at the time, but ultimately it
Mm.
paid off?
Oh man, I think literally everything is terrifying at the time. Well, I think behind the scenes, a lot of people haven't seen how much I've risked everything time and time again to sort
Mm.
of do it bigger and better. And a lot of the times you can't see the payoff and you don't know what it is. And one example actually was for me was I used to host a big online conference called the Wedding Photography Summit.
I
And I put
remember.
so much money into it, like so
Yeah.
much. Like we'd spend just on production and ads and stuff, like around $150,000. I'd pay all the speakers, do all that kind of stuff. We'd sell tickets at $7. We'd have to. It was just like a beast to run this thing. It was a lot of hard work, and it kind of just never paid off. Not as in like monetary. It didn't like pay off monetary, but I did it again,
Mhm.
did it again, did it again. And it wasn't until I was at a workshop in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and someone came up at the end of the workshop to sort of share their story with me of how they found me and the impact that I made. And then before I knew it, there was a lineup that stretched across the whole room and it didn't stop for like hours. And it was just people sharing their stories of like, I met you like this. And then I introduced you to my friend. And then we bought your course. And then we did this. And, some people broke down, they cried and they shared all these things. And I was like, whoa, I didn't realize that putting that much effort into something out into the world created tremendous amounts of reciprocity with the community, but also it it impacted people in so many different ways. But what I did was I built a brand. Like so it built a brand because I could see the way people were talking to me and they felt like they knew me and stuff. And I was like, man, I didn't know what I was doing, but building a brand was probably the most important thing that I could have done. And I did it without knowing what the, quote unquote payoff would be because it wasn't monetary. I was like, what is it? So for me, obviously that was a huge risk and I did it so many times and it got bigger and bigger. And I think sometimes we think the payoff has got to be money, but honestly, I think there's so many other ways to measure your success. And I think it's really important to measure it in different ways. And for me, I was like, I measured it at that moment of like, here's the impact that I made. This is what the money was for. And also, this is the brand that I built. This is deep, and people know it and they see it and they respect it and they share it and they buy from it, and it's really hard to build trust, for workshops and for coaches and stuff like that. So to have that much trust from thousands of people, yeah, it blew my mind. Didn't know that
Mm.
was happening.
That's so cool. While you
Yeah.
were talking, I'm like, I'm not a scientist, but doesn't a tsunami start after the earth shakes? Like it kind
Mm,
of like felt like that, where you start with one thing and it just shatters your world, but you're making waves and it just, you don't see what that impacts, but you're doing your own thing over here for a little bit, until you're like, oh my gosh, wow, this has affected so many people.
yeah,
In a
it's a
good
really good
way.
analogy, actually.
Yeah, thanks. My mind.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's like it's the earthquake is localized, but then the tsunami is like it's so
way,
far
way
away from
away.
where it happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't know the impact it's making.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Thanks. Okay. So let me see where we at now. So when you think about investing in yourself, and I know like you helped me get over that hump of spending thousands on myself for education and stuff like that years ago. But what's an investment that didn't make sense to you on paper, but it
Mm.
completely changed the game for you personally?
Wow. You know, I think a couple of things actually. One really big investment for me was actually buying a Range Rover. So, like, I'm going to tell you the story on why I bought it and why it was an investment,
I love it. Let's
because
go.
a lot of people think this is the worst thing you could ever buy. So, um, just a small backstory. I grew up in like low socioeconomic area, and
Mm,
I grew up with a very much the mentality of like, like eat the rich, and we don't like the rich, and like, it's like us versus them all the time. It's
yeah, yeah.
the haves and the not and the don't haves. And what I noticed over the years is from experiences of like my childhood, like my dad or friends of the family, or even like as I grew up, like friends in my inner circle and stuff. They'd always say like, I hate people that drive Range Rovers, and I hate people that have the money. And I thought about that, and I was like, man, that mentality keeps us so small because you can't
Yeah.
ever be the person that you hate. You just won't get there. And so if we want to hate those people and just be poor forever, I'm in the right group, and that's what I'd think.
Mm,
And so I started making a bunch of money. And at this stage, I was I was making enough money that week I made enough money to buy a Range Rover in cash. I was like, okay, so I never spend money on anything. I literally don't spend money on anything. Like, I didn't even have a car at the time. And I was like, I'm going to buy this luxury item. And it kind of shocked everyone. And everyone was like, what? What do you mean? I was like, yeah, so I want to buy a Range Rover. And the reason being is because it's going to make all my friends uncomfortable because I'm literally going to be the person that they hate. And I
mm,
want to do it because I don't want to be stuck on the other side of like only experiencing what it's like to be really poor. I also want to experience, like, I drove the worst cars you could imagine, like growing up, literally even worse than what you're imagining right now. And to be able to drive those cars and have that experience and also drive a brand new Range Rover and have that experience is very contrasty. Like, it's a very contrast situation, I guess, and I wanted to experience it all. So when I bought this thing, yeah, it did. It was me letting go of money, but also I needed to do it because I wanted to show myself that I could do it, that I did deserve it, and there was more money to come, and there was more things to come, and so it represented all these things for me, and it allowed me to unlock my newfound wealth and my abundance mindset to go to the next level because before that I was making money but I was acting like I was really poor. And I
yeah.
actually think when people say like, oh man, that person's a billionaire and they drive the crappiest car or whatever, we try and celebrate that because we're like, they're just like us, it's no different. But I actually think you should welcome in the new wealth. Like, you worked hard for the thing, so
Mm,
you do deserve it and you created it. You made that happen. And I think celebrating those things is important, and be able to sit in that uncomfortable as well. Like, having that car was uncomfortable. Having those conversations with my friends that I'm now the Range Rover driver, it was uncomfortable. And I did it because I knew it would be uncomfortable.
yeah. No, that's good. That's so good. I teach in my course, what to do with profit. And it's what's hard that I find in a lot of our members is once they have the profit, they can't keep it. They don't feel like they
Hmm.
deserve it. And it goes
Oh
down to
man,
like
it's
this
big.
huge
Yeah.
psychological, upbringing, how you were raised, what your parents told you about money, what your
Hmm.
friends think about money. And there's not enough conversations about money, period. That
Yeah.
we're
There's
like
so
not
much guilt.
comfortable with it. And so we try to get rid of it. And what I'm noticing, and my talk at the workshop will be excuses or money, which one will you make? But it's gonna be
I love
just
love that.
things. It's what's so fascinating across the board, I'm just finding that people aren't profiting from their creative businesses because they're losing the money faster than they can make it. So it just feels like an epidemic that needs to be solved. And so that's my main focus is like, okay, once we have the profit, how do we keep it? How can you invest it into assets that help actually build your life rather than take stuff away? Because I think that a
Mm.
lot of people are like, oh, deduct, deduct, deduct. And then they're deducting on things that depreciate rather than appreciate. So they don't always, bring the value into someone's life as they could, because we all started this business for freedom or for a better life, whatever you know reason, we started a business, right? And if it works us into the ground 24/7 and we have no work life balance, and it just becomes something that is of resentment rather than joy,
Mm.
what's the point? And so part of that
Exactly.
is if we can keep that profit and strategically use it. It's like this is why we made our businesses. And then how come we're not learning about it? And how
Freedom.
do we like invest that money in a way that grows us rather than strips us down. And so that's what I'm trying to teach people is like, what do we do with it once we have it? And
I love that.
it's it's a passion of mine. I'm like, I see it way too much that these creatives are struggling, and I'm just like, we our education system here in America is not known to be the best for teaching financial anything. But we can start somewhere, right? And I just see that gap in creatives a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people just don't understand money. It actually blows my mind
Yeah.
just how much people don't understand money, which is, yeah, it's definitely heartbreaking for a lot of creatives that work really, really hard and then feel like they don't deserve it, and then they don't know what to do with it. They don't keep it, um, and they don't invest it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk
So,
about that for hours for
oh yeah,
sure.
me too. Me
Yeah,
too. We have the workshop to do that. So
yeah.
so we'll talk about it then. Um, so my next question is, how do you personally define success as a creative
Mhm.
entrepreneur? And has that definition shifted over the years for you?
Yeah, it definitely probably has right now. Well, actually, forever, my definition of success was my willingness to try and fail. So that means that if I was, say, for instance, I came to your workshop and I put together the best presentation that I possibly could, that I believed was amazing. Um, and then I got myself in the room and I got up on stage and I presented in front of everybody, even though I was nervous. And I was like, worried about so many things. People are going to judge me, all the things that come up, the self doubt, the imposter syndrome. But I do it. And at the end, nobody claps and people hate it. For me, I was super successful because I was the one that got up on stage and I was able to fail, where other people wouldn't even get themselves on stage. And
Mm.
so I think about that a lot with everything that I do. I'm like, regardless if I fail or not, if my measurement of success is to give myself the freedom to fail, to try anyway, then I know I'm in the right space. And it hasn't really changed. Like I still, every project that I do, I kind of do it for myself. Like if I'm writing a book, I'm writing it so I want to read it. I'm getting excited,
Mm.
literally writing it. I'm like, I want to read this. This is awesome. And if nobody else likes it, I'm like, well, where's your book? I wrote a book, but you didn't write one, So it's like you can't shake me for getting up on stage and giving it a try because I'm the one that got up on stage and gave it a try. I had
Heck
that
yeah. All right.
audacity.
That's so
Yeah, and
good.
I think that's yeah, that for me is the measurement of success for sure.
Yeah, I love it. I have a little art project I'm doing with the speakers in my workbook. There's going to be one page of all of our pictures and how we define success.
Yeah.
So yours is the freedom to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's
And
so
what's
cool.
yours?
So mine, I'm still working on like the
To make
catchy part of it.
millions.
No, no, I really don't think it's the money. I think it's, success to me is, gosh, I got to think on it, but I'm trying to make it
Mm,
like short, concise, and sweet. Like you have like this really cool thing. Success is the freedom to fail. And I'm like, I need a catchy thing. like like that.
yeah.
But, for me in my own life, I I really want peace.
Hmm.
And the peace comes internally, but part of that is creating the peace around me. And if my business ever took that away, that wouldn't be success to me. And and so everything I
Mm,
go for when I work on stuff is how can I give back, be kind, and make
yeah.
myself better and make the people around me better than I found them. Um, and provide that level of, oh, I don't know what the word is, consciousness to
Hmm.
how I work. Um, so I think, because I've had moments in my life where my business has been a strain on my husband. And sometimes we don't even think about how it affects the people around us, that we're so head into it that it can be a form of resentment for your spouse or your partner or your family. And unknowingly, we just kind of accidentally dive all in and forget about the people around us. And so part of it is
Mm.
protecting peace. Um, and what that looks like is I'm still trying to formulate it, But I'm trying to make it catchy, but I haven't really figured out a
Well,
way to
you
make it catchy.
You make a really good point because I think like when someone says like, "Oh, success for me is a lot of money," the problem is like if you don't make a lot of money, then you're not successful, and you don't look at all the other
Hmm.
measurements that and the other impacts that you're making.
Right.
But I also honestly believe if you don't have a success mission, like for myself, it's like the willingness to try and fail, right? So giving myself that freedom. If I don't do that, then I'm no longer on my core of like what I want to do. So if I'm just doing it because it's safe, I'm like, oh, that's not success though, even if it brings in more money.
Yeah.
And what happens is we get off track when we start looking at what other people are doing. Oh, they made $1 million. They're doing this. They just launched that. And then we start thinking, oh, I need their success.
Hmm.
And no one can compete with me because if my success is just a willingness try and fail, then how are they going to try and copy that? Like
Right.
it's really hard. They don't know what my measurement is. So they can't take my success away from me because no matter if I got money or no money, I am really successful.
Right. Comparison is a thief of joy. So
Hmm.
you can't just compare yourself to someone and make that the marker for what you should be doing. Everyone's got their own
Exactly.
path. So
And
yeah, I think like when it comes to success, there's a level of personal empowerment that happens within that success. Like you kind of reach this new, how do I put it? The word that keeps popping up is just awareness, because
mhm,
I just feel like we are so head in sometimes on a number or which are good to have. It's good to have number goals. You know, I think they're
of
still good,
course,
but they're not like everything.
they're not gonna motivate you. It's
Yeah,
gonna they're
motivate you.
gonna the motivation's gonna end if it's just for money.
Yeah, yeah. Because to me personally, at the end
You'll
of the
you'll
day,
get
if it
burnt out.
causes anyone any sort of resentment for what I'm doing, I have to stop it or I have to change it, pivot, because it's not something that I personally value. Is to run
Mm.
others down so that I can build myself up. That's not a thing for me.
I think what people don't realize is success as a resource is limitless. Like
Hmm.
there is no limit on it, right? And so what I noticed is people don't realize that. So they go, "Oh, this wedding photographer just booked a wedding over there. That means there's less success for me because they're more successful." But it doesn't work like that. If I bought a Range Rover, it doesn't mean my best friend can't buy one and the person down the road can't buy one.
Right.
Like if I'm fully booked out, it doesn't mean you can't be fully booked out.
Yeah.
And so when you tap into that and you realize, hey, success is what you're the one generating it. And if you're worried about other people having it and you're not having it, you're worried about the wrong thing. You're always going to lose. There is no world where you can win when you're worried about other people's success or it brings you down in some way. Because honestly, the only thing that brings you up is you generating more success, and that will generate more success for other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheering people on does so much for us internally too. When
Yeah,
because I
definitely.
see a lot of people like, oh, they'll put others down to make themselves feel better, but hurt people. It's
Mm,
a more objective approach to be like, oh, good job. And then think of like, well, if they did it, how can I do it? What's my unique way to get there?
yeah.
Yeah. The the cool thing, I want to talk about this for a second because people think destination weddings are like the epitome of success. But they kind of suck sometimes. There's a lot of traveling, there's a lot of logistics, and quite frankly, some people will not raise their prices for destination weddings, so they get to pay the exact same amount that they would if they worked a local one. So what are your, do you want to say anything about like that idea where people travel and everything? And like there's, I guess, different views on destination weddings. Some people it's like it's not for me at all. I would rather be here locally in my city within a 60-mile radius and never move out of that. Um, but I feel like early on, some people are like, oh, if I travel to Italy and do a wedding, I've made it, What about
Yeah,
this
and
term, I've made it?
I think that's good. Like I think when you travel to Italy, you have made it, That's I mean, good for you. That's amazing. I think what happens is if you're doing it for somebody else and not for you, if you feel like you want to expand and get out there and do destination anything and get hired by people, like do the thing, man. My first year as a wedding photographer, if we're going back there, I shot around 10 weddings for free around the world and I was so successful and so broke. And for
Yeah.
me, that was the measurement of success. I was like, man, I get to shoot the things I want to do. I get to travel around with my wife. and like happy days. And no one at that stage could tell me like I should charge more, I should charge for travel and all that kind of stuff because that just was it. And then a couple of years later, I just wanted to work on the same neighborhood that I lived in, and that's it, nowhere else. And I wouldn't book anything else. And that was definition of success that year was if I can sleep in my own bed that night. And
Mm.
so a lot of the venues were literally walking distance to my house. So I'd be like, that's so successful that I can book that and walk home. So it's going to pivot and change. And I think you just got to chase what lights you up, what actually makes you happy, not for anyone else or anything else, but what actually makes you happy. And don't listen to anybody that tells you that there's supposed to be rules around it or confine it in some way. Man, you are limitless. You just got to get out there and follow your heart. It's the only thing you can do.
Love it. What role do you think community plays in actually achieving your goals?
Good question. I think when I first started, I had a different experience than what a lot of people would have now. When I first started as an educator and a photographer, I was very much outcast, especially in the education world, especially in the wedding photography world. It was a very hostile place back in like 2012 and 2013.
Oh, wow.
I got a lot of hate because I started workshops and quote unquote gave away all the secrets. And so a lot of the other big time photographers and educators it put a target on my back because they wanted to gatekeep a lot of things. They were
Oh,
all about the
wow.
gatekeeping, and I was one of the first ones that was like, I'm not gatekeeping anything, man. I'm sharing it all, and so I shared more than anybody else, and I shot for free more than anyone else. That the whole industry hated that because at the
Yeah.
time I was the person undercutting the market and everything else. And it's funny because they're not around anymore, and I got more success than most of the people that hated on me at the time, even though I was working for
That
free
speaks
and giving away
miles.
all my secrets. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I find that really funny. But what I found is I didn't find a community that I resonated with. I just couldn't because people kept thinking small, belittling each other, gatekeeping, and I was in a small place, in a country with not many people, and so my community was very small, and I felt isolated, and I felt like there was no one that thought like me, and there was no one like me. So I created my own community, and I did a lot of work to create my own community. And at the start, it was called Free the Bird Workshop, and then we were a small community of like a couple hundred people on Facebook. And then things sort of grew, and then it grew into the business map, and the community grew into thousands, then tens of thousands. And what I realized was if there's not something out there in the world, you can create it yourself. You don't have to join a community, you can be the community. Because, of course, there's always going to be all the ships, but sometimes you need a lighthouse as well. And you can light the way for other people and create something that may not fit for everybody, but it's going to fit for you and attract people just like you. Now, what's really interesting is when I travel around the world and meet people like yourself that have been impacted with what I've taught and have been in my communities in different aspects, I notice that they have the same kind of thinking that I have, and we connect on a different level straight away because we kind of like go, oh, like this is the mindset that you'd have for this, and it's usually bigger thinkers that are they're trying to make something of themselves and. They have a different way of life. They're not complaining. They're not putting responsibility on anybody else. They're not entitled. And so even when I go to speak at a workshop, say when I come to your workshop, usually there is a group of people that have been through my course and you can tell like night and day straight away, I can tell my community. Even if they didn't come up and say that they've been in it, I know that they have. And I'm like, oh, you guys are my people, aren't you? And they're like, yeah, I listen to your podcast, all the time. So it's really interesting that we can make waves. And what's really cool is I got to push my ideology into the community and then found the people that believed in it. So, for example, I believed back in 2013 that we should create community over competition and we'll become a lot stronger if we don't compete and we can compare prices, compare price guides, compare offers and see what we can do. So we all raise the bar, so we
Yeah.
all get more expensive. I believed at the time that you can work for free, and people hated that. That was like the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing that I got hate for all the way up until 2020, until it
Mm.
started getting mainstream. I believe that mindset was the most important thing over strategy. So I was teaching that back in like 2014, 15, 16, 17, and people hated that because they're like, well, it doesn't mean anything. You're not teaching any strategy. And then in around about 2020, 2021, it started going mainstream and then it blew up. But I was there teaching it way before that. Um, I believed I believe that you can share kindness in the community. You can share your locations. You can share your tips and tricks, and a success for everybody. So these are all the things fundamentally that I believe that I couldn't see in a community anywhere else. And I think when you do join a community that you believe the same thing as they believe, it feels like you're in sync with them, and it feels like you found your people, but it feels like you get permission as well. It's like, yes, finally I've got permission, you know? And for me, like if I wasn't the way that I am, and people that hated on me telling me I shouldn't shoot for free, if I was like influenced by them, even though they were my idols, if I was influenced by them, I would have stopped and I would have listened to them and I would have stopped my career. I would have stopped my growth and they would have protected their career because that's all they were doing is their best interests at heart. But I could see that back then. I was like, I can see you got your best interests at heart. You don't want the industry to evolve and to grow. I can understand why you would hate that. But to be honest, like nothing's going to stop me. And it ain't going to be you or anybody else, you know?
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, you made me tear up just a little bit at the start of that. Just how we don't have to settle with our loneliness. I,
No,
I see a lot of that. And, part of the reason why I'm making this workshop here in Dallas is because I want this community here in Dallas too. And
mm,
I really, it encouraged me hearing that because I'm like, yeah, I don't have to go find that. I could build it here. And there's people that need it here on top of that. Like there's just so much
exactly.
to say about the meals we share, the late night conversations, the laughs and the tears. These are just moments that you can't put a price tag on. And
Exactly.
they're, you know, building that community of people who we're communal creatures. That's what I believe is like we just really need people in our lives. And this is coming from an introvert. So I know how important it
I
is.
feel you.
Yeah. But there's just like something about like protecting and nurturing and caring for our community. There's something it does in us that makes us better. And I just fully agree with everything
Yeah.
you've said. And I'm very encouraged by you. I think that you inspire so many people to like and you challenge them to be better versions of themselves and that is a amazing character trait. So if
Thank
that
you.
if that ain't infectious, I don't know what.
Thank you. You know,
So go ahead.
well, I just want to say one more thing. I think what I noticed from when I first began and I had no community until when I built a community, life is so much more fun when you got best friends to do it with. Like so much more fun. And I've got so many best friends when I first started, like the people that I vibed with. And they've just helped me again and again over the years in so many different aspects. And they're not just photographers, like other people in other industries, wedding planners, florists. Like I've got some best friends. And man, it is so fun when you got friends to do it with. So I would say like it's so important to go and meet people, open your heart, say hello, even if you're an introvert, and extrovert yourself into a community and make those friends because they will be around in 10 years' time. Trust me, I've still
Yeah.
got those friends. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. So if someone's on the fence about saying yes to opportunities like workshops, coaching, investing in their own growth, what would you say to
Mhm.
them right now?
Um, well, if they're on the fence, then I would say just buy it. Because you're already thinking about it. So if you weren't on the fence, then I'd say like, well, maybe it's not for you. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
you're not in the right headspace, you're not ready, you're not financially ready. But if you're actually sitting there thinking you're on the fence, it's like you said before, you're not going to miss the money, but you will miss the experience. One thing that I've noticed, especially in the creative industry, is we create these businesses that are not actual businesses. They're just a career, like they just create a wage for ourselves, basically. And we see the money in the business as our own money, not the business's money. And it doesn't work like that. When you create a business, the business generates income and you work for the business. So you should get paid a wage from the business. This is how a
Right.
business should work. Okay.
Yes.
So when that business generates income, it can do things for you to enrich your life so then you can enrich the business's life. For example, if a workshop comes up, it shouldn't be you paying for it, it should be your business paying for it. And this is why you got a business because it's going to give you some perks. If you are the CEO, like you say you are, of the business, what perks are you giving yourself? If you're not giving yourself even a wage and you're not giving yourself some education and you can't be the best, you're not leveling up to become the best version of yourself for that role. It's you're the limit, so you're the thing you're the brakes, you're the thing that's stopping it. I do think so often creatives put so much emphasis on what they can't afford opposed to what they can literally just go out and make. And I see this over and over, like especially because I got a CRM and I got a course, but people will be like, yeah, like, so Jai, your course is like $3,000. Like, yeah, can't afford that. And I'm like, so you got a business and your business can't afford $3,000? Like that baffles my mind actually. I'm like, hey, what's your business doing? What happens if something goes wrong tomorrow and you don't have
Yeah.
$3,000? But they put so much emphasis on saving when they don't realize what the opportunity is right there. It's like, man, you don't need to save. No one needs. I've never saved like a dollar in my life. I don't save. I'm a business owner. I create, I generate, I build, and so these are the things I do. If I want money, man, $3,000, I'm like, well, that's just one booking. I just need to go and get that. There's no problem. I can get that this week. I know I can. I can send
Yeah.
100 DMs this week. I could post 50 different YouTube reels. I could get on TikTok and I could just start dancing and doing some stuff. I could reach out to 50 of the different vendors that I worked with in the last 6 months and send them some photos. I could drive around to 10 venues this weekend and introduce myself and say hello and see if they've got any weddings that I can shoot. Man, there's a lot of things I can do. So I know it's me being lazy of not wanting to go out and get in the work. It's the reason why I don't have the money, because the money's right there. You definitely can get the money. You got a business. That's what it does. It generates money.
Yeah. Have creative solutions for things for sure.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Andrew Cordell by chance?
I haven't actually, no.
He recently started the Aspire Tour about 3 years ago. I attended one recently, and his wealth class. He's like a tax. He calls himself a tax architect. So
Cool.
yeah, but he's spoken on stage with like he's got Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Kevin O'Leary, like these
Or the big
billionaires,
players.
big
Yeah.
plays. Um, and they all speak and they inspire you and stuff. But he specifically talks about wealth management, and he's kind of identified that there's contributors or there's creators, and the
Mm.
contributors are kind of how we've been raised. I didn't grow up rich at all by any means, and so my parents are contributors. They have jobs for other people, and there's nothing wrong with being a contributor, but there's that mindset that contributors have about money that creators do not have about money. And when you think about the top 1% of people,
They're
and
creators.
they're
Yeah.
creators. Yeah, they're not
Yeah. They
contributors.
always say like you take the top 1%, you take away their money, they're gonna have it again in a couple of years. They'll
Yep.
have it all
Yeah,
because that's what
it's
they do. They
protected.
create.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's they create more always, and then they've invested
They're
it in
not
things.
consuming. They're only creating.
Hmm.
Everything's about creation. They're not
Yeah,
going around buying Gucci bags and stuff like that, even though they can,
they
but
could,
they're
but yeah,
literally creating, And so
yeah.
it's the minds. It's a strange mindset because when you actually, this is in my book as well. I talk about like the old rules that's holding us back, but so many people are playing the entrepreneurship game with the 9 to 5 rules, like the rule book, and it's completely different. And so it blows my mind when I'm watching people with these old rule book. And I'm like, Ben, you're not, that's not the game you're playing. It's a completely different game. Like it's almost like, if you're a dentist and all of a sudden you become an accountant, it's a different rule book, man.
Yeah.
Like no wonder you're lost. And so with this 9 to 5 mentality, it is completely irrelevant in a business or entrepreneurial world. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's black and white. So
Yeah.
with money, it's exactly the same thing. Like when you become an entrepreneur and a business owner is very different as well. But an entrepreneur, they're going to generate money from something because that's what they do inherently. They're looking for problems and they will just solve the problems over and over at mass scale. They will do it. If someone's got a problem, like let's say, why is Elon Musk one of the richest people in the world? It's because at one point we said the biggest problem is global warming. And he said, well, I can solve that. I'll make some electric cars and some solar panels. He solved the biggest problem. If you solve a big problem, you're going to get paid big money.
Yeah.
And so that's the way that the big thinkers think. It's the value that you have in your bank account correlates to the value you put out into the world. So if you're not knocking on any doors, you're not bringing anyone value, and you got no money in your bank account, it correlates. So I think about this. I built a house that cost me like about $1.5 million to build this beautiful house. And I got all these bricks and, I paid for the whole thing. And all the bricks, I look at it and there's no word of a lie, like gives me goosebumps looking like thinking about this. But each brick was like $7. And there's like hundreds, thousands of bricks in the house, right? And when I look at all of them, I'm like, man, that is every single brick is that little bit of value that I brought to one person. And then I stack that brick up. That's all it is. That little bit, like $7 ticket that I sold for the summit, there's the brick. And then after a while, like I brought it to so many people that I could build a house. But when I look at it, I'm not lost. It's not lost on me. I'm like, man, that's amazing that I was able to generate that much value for the world. And then the exact amount of value that I generated for the world is now correlating to the value, to the wealth that I have. So I think it's a really important conversation, but like obviously it's probably getting in a little bit deep and probably a little bit too advanced with all of that. But it's good to start the conversation there of just like you got to know that there's different rules for a 9 to 5 player compared to a business owner compared to an entrepreneur. And I can explain the difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner if you'd like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There will
So
be a Q&A at our workshop. So if you guys have any questions at all, you'll have full reign to answer any questions then. But yeah, Jai, I think we're about at our time for the podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it because I know we could talk forever.
perfect.
So,
Yeah.
but first of all, thank you so much for taking the time out of your morning it is morning there in Vietnam or,
No, it's actually nighttime.
oh, it's nighttime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got up like 6 a.m. So it's like a very weird time difference
Yeah,
there.
we're probably exactly opposite because right now it's like 7:30 p.m.
Oh, nice. Cool.
What
Yeah.
time is it for you now?
7:23 a.m. So yeah.
Yeah, 7:23 p.m. for me.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
12-hour
12 hours
difference.
difference. That's cool.
Wow, cool. Yeah, the sun's
Yeah.
coming out, so my camera's getting a little brighter. But how neat. Okay. Well, you guys, if you come to the workshop, Jai is dropping a copy of his book for all the attendees that are going to be there. He's currently writing it right now. Jai, does that give you enough time? You think you can do it
Oh
by
man,
December?
like the deadline's getting thin. Hey, I'm like, come on, come on, come on. And if I don't get the book to you in that moment, I'll ship it out to everybody.
Perfect.
So like, fingers crossed, it's gonna be out. But if it's not, you'll still get a copy. Of course.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much for being generous with your time and your resources and just your knowledge. Really appreciate you. So, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Outsmart the Hustle, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thanks for having me.
I'm feeling like a brand new me. Brand new, brand new. Feeling like a brand new me.
Outsmart the Hustle is produced by Booked by Strategy, a film business course. Follow us at Booked by Strategy literally anywhere for more creative business tips and freebies, and check out the course and live workshop that happens every year at www.bookedbystrategy.com.